welcome back to a brand new episode of Trade Desk with Anna. Trade Desk is a podcast series organized by the Ministry of Economic Development, Transport and Trade, and in this series, along with the Ministry's own initiatives, we also bring to you stories about the various companies and institutions playing a vital role in the Maldivian economy. And in today's episode, we are focusing on the evolving economic partnership between the India and Maldives. So from trade, investment, connectivity, and also upcoming agreements, there's a growing agenda aimed at deepening our cooperation. Today, we will have a look at where this relationship stands now and explore the opportunities that lie ahead, and also discuss how close economic ties can support the sustainable growth and prosperity of both of our nations. Joining me today to discuss this is the Indian High Commissioner to the Maldives, His Excellency, Mr. G. Balasubramanian. Mr. Balasubramanian, thank you so much for giving us your time today, and welcome.
Thank you, Anna. And first of all, namaste from India.
Thank you so
Assalamu
much.
alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
This is a great opportunity. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome, and it's a great pleasure to have you here. So, as I've mentioned before, India is one of our longest and closest economic partners, and as trade between both the countries continue to grow, our businesses and investors are looking for more opportunities for collaboration. So, from your perspective, could you tell us what are the key areas that are currently driving economic cooperation between the India and Maldives?
India has been a long-standing partner to Maldives, and as my Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, has very clearly mentioned that neighborhood first policy is the fulcrum of our diplomatic outreach. And in the neighborhood first policy, Maldives occupies a special place. So that is where we actually base our relationship with Maldives, which has been since 1965, for the past 60 years when we have established the diplomatic relations. Trade and economic cooperation is one of the key areas on which we have been working together with Maldives. The priorities, as you may see, is that in terms of trade, we are the largest, one of the largest trading partners. I would say we have crossed more than 550 million last year.
Correct.
And if you take into account the various things that come from other places which are also sourced from India, I think I would be not wrong in saying that India is the largest trading partner.
Most definitely.
There are various things in which we work together very closely in terms of, say, pharmaceuticals. No more than 65% of the pharmaceutical products that come to Maldives, both generic and branded, are from India. The essential commodities that have been a base on which we have been sending since 1981. A MOU was signed in 1981. And since then, every year, without fail, there has been a quota that has been allocated for Maldives for a supply of essential items, from food items to construction material. Even if there has been any disruption in the export policy of Government of India owing to internal requirements and other things, the supply to Maldives had never been stopped. So that is the MOU that we have.
So out of these areas which you have mentioned, in which areas do you see the most growth for the future?
I would say that the future lies in electronical cooperation, in the sense that we have fintech, we have energy supplies, we have renewable energy area, apart from the usual traditional areas of tourism and trade. We do have various things that we are working with Government of Maldives in terms of setting up, whether it is the UPI, which is a fintech thing that is going to come up. Yesterday, I was there in the Financial Expo that has been organized by MMA, and I could see the vibrancy over there and the kind of financial literacy that they had brought out in giving information to the people. And I saw some of the Payment Maldives stall was also there, with whom we are very closely working with. So there are financial tech is something, and the digital public infrastructure. These are two major areas on which I think we would be concentrating going forward.
So these are some of the areas our businesses can focus on going forward.
Absolutely.
Now, beyond trade, investment is also becoming an increasingly important pillar of the bilateral relationship. What are the opportunities available for our investors and businesses in both India and Maldives? And also out of these areas, again, which areas would you say holds the greatest promise for future investment partnerships?
I would say that India has been investing in Maldives for quite some time, both in the tourism sector and in agriculture also.
Absolutely.
There is an Indian company which is doing agriculture here in Ba Atoll. There is another Indian company which is going to perhaps start a poultry setup and chicken feed setup shortly within this year perhaps. These are some of the traditional areas in which we have been working, and to facilitate both sides, investors from both sides to work closely and to ensure that their investment is protected, the governments are also working on a bilateral investment treaty. We are also working on a free trade agreement which is going to be, which we have negotiations for which have been started, and the terms of reference for that was signed during the visit of my Prime Minister last year. The areas in which India is also opening up on tourism, and there are many Indian companies which have actually already invested in the tourism sector, and I know that nearly about 6 to 7 of them are currently under construction in increasing the tourism resorts in Maldives. That is one area. Agriculture is another. And fintech and the coordination between Favara and UPI would open up a lot of opportunities. Port sector, the opportunities are numerous.
So there's a lot of integration also that's supporting the broader economic growth for both the countries. That was actually supposed to be my next question, which was the free trade agreement. There's been growing discussions about the possibility of a free trade agreement, which could be huge for the economy. Could you tell us the benefits that this would bring to our exporters, consumers, and businesses?
See, already we have an existing free trade agreement under SAARC regime, which is called as the SAFTA. Okay. So we are now going in for a bilateral free trade agreement, which would be SAFTA plus. So all the lines that were not open for Maldivians to export and for Indians to export or to coordinate in these areas would also be discussed during this thing. It would include goods and services both. You sell nearly $300 to $400 million worth of services to India.
Yes, we do.
In terms of tourism also. So that is something which can be used as a base on which we can grow further. The tuna exports, we already have zero tariff for tuna in India. There are other areas, I mean, the other exports that you do are little less, but this free trade agreement would open up the opportunity for cross-border services trade, particularly if you are setting up with Maldives 2.0 digital transformation area that you are working on. The back offices or the integration in terms of the electronic communication part of it. Google is setting up a landing point in Maldives. So these would, huge opportunities would be opened up through these sectors. And India being a larger market wherein any kind of such product is almost always consumed fully. So it would open up a large section of Maldivian economy to India to allow their exports in terms of these high-end fintech areas.
So these agreements would certainly open up a lot of new opportunities for our economy.
Absolutely. I'm very confident of it.
I wanted to ask you, could you tell us the importance of having a bilateral investment treaty for our countries?
Certainly. Any two countries, any investor looking to invest in any particular country outside his own borders would be very, very much requiring information about how his or her investment is going to be secured. Whether that person's investment would be treated at par with the local investor. Of course, there are areas in which every country would restrict investment, but within that investment opportunity that exists, the investor would have to be convinced about the investment security that he is going to have. So, bilateral investment treaty provides this basic platform which will allow investors from both sides to be sure that their investment would not be, say, naturalized or nationalized and things like that. So, it would give them good confidence to invest in each other's things. So, that's why this is a very important agreement that we are working on.
So it would improve investor confidence, also create a more predictable environment for businesses who are looking to invest in either of the countries.
Absolutely.
So it makes it safer for them to invest their money in. Then I wanted to ask you, the Rupee Card initiative has been one of the has been a strong pillar in strengthening our economic ties. Could you tell us the significance of this initiative?
There are many, as I told you, nearly $300 million worth of services in tourism is being done. 140 to 150,000 Indians come over here. Lot many Maldivians go to India for studies and for medical treatment and other things. The presence of this RuPay card, and in addition to that, the UPI that we are working on bringing in to onboard it along with Favara, would certainly help both sides. In Maldivians going to India to use it through the RuPay card to be able to settle their payment and whatever payment that they have to make both to the hospitals or outside over there and to the educational institutions. Once it is all finally institutionalized, we are still in the process of doing it. And similarly, UPI would also provide a great opportunity to transact businesses personally, person-to-person businesses can be easily transacted. UPI, as you would know, is one of the largest growing mobile platform for transactions. In India, nearly about, why in India? On the overall,
India, yes.
On the overall, more than 50% of mobile transactions actually take place in under the UPI platform. So that is what it has got a very robust system through which it can be expanded, and that's what we are bringing to Maldives, which would help both Maldivians and Indians who are visiting each other.
So this integration between Favara and the RuPay card would make transactions easier for businesses as well as individual people traveling to both the countries as well.
Businesses is the second part. First, we will start with the people to people, and then people to business will follow.
Okay, I'm sure such an integration would also help freelancers in our economy as well, get more business from your country as well.
True.
So talking about Maldivian businesses, especially micro to medium to small businesses, for them there's a growing interest in accessing larger markets such as India and also attracting new investment. What advice would you give to Maldivian businesses looking to engage more actively with Indian partners?
In India, MSME actually constitutes 70% of our economy. Yeah. That's a huge chunk of our economic strength. And they have learnt a lot, they have fallen, they have stood up, they have understood, they have changed their methodology and so on and so forth. In India, we work on the concept of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, which means whole world is one family, and we are very happy to share the knowledge, share the experience that we have had. Maldivian MSME and Indian MSME can certainly cooperate with each other. They can coordinate and collaborate in terms of, one, how things can improve in terms of small businesses, how they can grow internally, yes. And two, how the small businesses can help each other in terms of supply, in terms of services and other things also, apart from the knowledge sharing. So we have MSME group of, like a chamber for MSME, we have MSME chamber, we have women MSME chamber, so on and so forth. And it is divided, separated geographically along the whole of the country. The closest for you would be in Kerala and in Karnataka. Mm-hmm. They have very strong MSME sectors, and it would be a great opportunity for Maldivian MSME to also collaborate with them.
Thank you. So we're also coming to a close of today's episode, but before we close, I would like to ask you, what are your plans, what are your priorities for the upcoming years when it comes to strengthening our economic partnership between the Maldives and India?
The two governments are certainly working closely on providing an even platform for both the sides, in the sense that whether the foundational agreements like the free trade agreement, the bilateral investment treaty, and integration of some of the platforms that have been successful on both sides would provide a great platform for both the sides both the businesses to cooperate with each other. My priority would be to ensure that these things proceed smoothly, the negotiations are worked out, and if there are any hiccups at any point of time, my High Commission would be very happy to smoothen it through discussions. Plus, renewable energy is another area where Maldives is also concentrating on, and we have had very good developments in India. More than 45% of our total energy basket is now renewable energy. So that opportunity also exists for cooperation between our two countries, and the financial sector is something that I would be concentrating on. These would be my basic priorities. apart from the normal things like the agricultural cooperation.
The existing ones
The
that are
existing
currently
ones.
helping the economy. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. And also one more question I would like to ask. What message would you give to our businesses, investors and young entrepreneurs in both India and Maldives?
In India, the startup side is
Yes.
something that has actually come up in a big way. We have had more than 100 unicorns which have been set up in the past 5 years alone. A unicorn is a startup which has attracted $1 billion of investment in each.
Very successful ones.
Very successful ones. And there are hundreds of thousands of other startups which have come up also. So that is one area where I think we can learn from each other. Maldivian businesses can look at it. For example, I'll just tell you, there is one on millet. Just on millets alone, which is supposed to be the superfood of the future, which has been because of its low glycemic value and so on and so forth, a health food. Indian millet revolution has actually hit the roof, I would say. Just in one state of Andhra Pradesh, more than 300 startups have come only on millet. So millet, any particular issue may be perhaps a very small thing to look at, but
Yes.
there are so many opportunities that flow out of each of those concepts. And that is where we can learn from each other and we can help each other. And I would certainly encourage the Maldivian MSME, the entrepreneurs and the youth to look at the experiences that Indian MSMEs and Indian startups have had and replicate it, adapt it to their local situation.
Thank you so much for all the valuable information and insights you've shared with our audience today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. Namaste from India once again.
Thank you. That is all on today's episode on Trade Desk, and I hope today's episode gave you valuable insights on the growing economic partnership between the India and Maldives. Thank you so much for watching and see you again.